Welcome back, Slippy Sliders. I'm Lupinefiasco, this is Daily FaB Gameplay, and today we're playing against my friend and fellow YouTuber, Nico Brew. Historically a Vincent gamer, but today piloting Oscilio. Normally, I would review this replay of a game we played on the Talishard.net client alone, but I have the privilege of being joined by Nico himself. We together will talk through turn cycles and the lines we would take now, comparing them to the lines we took then at the time of recording. We either learn from our mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down Calling Kansas City and walk away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. Before we get into it, please consider subscribing to my channel. It's the best free way to support me and to make sure you see every upload from Daily FaB Gameplay. Want to tighten and optimize your gameplay in real life? Use my affiliate link in the video description to buy your very own Codex journal, and be sure to use code LUPINE10, that's LUPINE10, at checkout to receive 10% off your order. Finally, Daily FaB Gameplay is brought to you in part by Hemel from The Bazaar. It's never been more affordable to play in the flesh and blood. Players have been buying the cards they need from Hemel for years. I started buying from him in 2023 and have never found a better deal. The Bazaar's prices are the lowest for singles, full sets, and class sets, including new releases. High Seas singles and more are available now and ship both domestically and internationally. Message Hemel on Discord, email, Blue Sky, or Twitter to see what he can do for you. Now, grab your claves, take up your mantle, and let's get into it. Hey everyone, it's Lupinefiasco. I'm here with Nico Brew, who's been on the channel a few times. You may remember him as a Vincent player. Today he's playing Oscilio. Was good enough to run me through a few games to try to learn this matchup from the Slippy side, and I like to think that Nico learned something from the Oscilio side as well. So we're gonna do our first tandem gameplay review, where you'll be hearing me talk about what I would have done as Slippy and Nico talk about what he would have done as Oscilio. So
sounds good.
Yeah. So, I won the die roll. I chose to go first. I'm playing AB3 Spell Void 3. In hindsight, I think all of that is wrong. A lot of that was informed by the games that I played against Nico, where, in actuality, I really want to be going second because as the assassin, I want to be threatening Nico's hand and arsenal, which he doesn't care as much about on turn 0, and I'm not as afraid of Oscilio setting up on turn 0, because if you're setting up on turn 0, it means that now my disruption is even more relevant because you were trying to go off, and now you have to deal with Mark the Black Widow threatening your hand, or Leave No Witnesses threatening your arsenal, and maybe you didn't want to give me cards, but now you have to. And as far as AB3 Spell Void 3, it just takes away a lot of my reaction pressure. And like you learned in later games, you can pretty easily play around the AB3 by just having these big setup turns where you Mind Warp for 7, and now I'm kind of out of luck.
Yeah, middling, small hands to put together surges just aren't worth it into AB3, which as soon as I see AB3, I know not to go for those, so it's not like I'm gonna get tripped up by it. It just restricts my options, which I can work around.
Yeah, I'm not getting you with AB3 because it's face up. You might not know how many blues I have in my deck, but you can pretty reasonably assume that if
I'm always assuming.
If I'm playing AB3, there's a reason I'm doing it. So I'm going first though, which isn't terrible. Oscilio doesn't block well with certain hand setups, especially when I have reactions. So this hand is pretty reasonable that I could either full send based on how Oscilio is or isn't blocking. But my first line is going to be Infect, and I've got the Razor's Edge to back it up. Fishing for a reaction, or especially if you don't block at all, then I know that I'm pretty good to... And then I immediately play Pain in the backside, which I don't hate this either. This baits a block. Just trying to set up for are you going to bait the Infect? The Infect is the thing that's getting damage through.
Yeah, and you can see I filter here in response to the Infect. Looking back through it, I definitely should have filtered. I have 2 of these conductivities. I should have filtered the first conductivity immediately, because if you send the Pain in the backside, sure, it's a 0 for 4, but it doesn't really have an on hit. If you Since I filtered that conductivity, I draw into another non-block. Since I didn't, you can tell I didn't block the Infect. The only blocking card I had was that Eclectic, which, knowing that full information, I would have just taken the Pain in the backside and waited for an actual on-hit to block with that Eclectic, which, if you saw I didn't block the first, you would probably send the second. You wouldn't decide you've had enough, because you can infer that I don't have comfortable blocks.
Right.
So I would get another opportunity to block and block out that Infect for 5, rather than the Pain in the backside for 3. I just definitely should have filtered immediately.
Weirdly, it almost would have worked better for me in that sense if you had taken 4, been at 32, and be marked, and then I send the Infect and you block it, and I Razor's Edge over the top, put you down to 29, give you the Blood Rot, and then I will Arsenal this Infiltrate. And the reason I still have 56 cards left in the deck. I've seen only 2 stealth attacks. I'm sure I will draw into another one, but just based on how Slippy's trying to play and how we're trying to keep our arsenal free to play out just as we need to set up Codex of Frailty, having the Razor's Edge in Arsenal is actually worse for me than having the Infiltrate. Just in some weird world where I draw Command and Conquer and I leave no witnesses that I can block with, I draw something, another Pain in the backside and a Codex of Frailty, and it's like, well, now I can't actually clear out my arsenal, which is unlikely but not impossible, especially with this stage of the game.
I can see that happening.
But this works. I don't have to react at all. I can just Arsenal the Razor's Edge. I grab a Snag, which is, not
the best thing for me.
Yeah, it's like, this is really not bad for you. It's fine for me because, 1, I know that you're playing Snags, and 2, I now no longer have to worry about that 1. But yeah, if we're talking like, what would I have rather grabbed? Literally any Sigil, Channel Lightning Valley, even just a 0 for 4 or a 0 for 3, like, Snag is not what I wanted to see.
Yeah. Minor point. At the end of your turn, I, on the Oscilio side, pitched the Electrostatic Discharge that was left floating in my hand that I got off of the cycle. Going into my next turn without an embodiment, drawing 4 new random cards, 3 to 4. I, on my end, with a Channel Lightning Valley that I just put down on your side, should have definitely held on to that. For the Oscilio gamers out there, probably should have held on to that discharge, just so I know I can convert multiple cards with only one action point, or only one action point that I know I have. If I had an embodiment, I might be fine filtering it, but where damage is relevant, I want to be able to push 3 more with the card that I know can definitely do that without relying on action points.
If you're holding the discharge, are you also then not playing the Channel Lightning Valley, or are you playing it just to filter it?
Oh, I'm playing the Channel Lightning Valley.
Okay.
I want to get any permanents out of my hand so that they can be on the board for my turn.
Right, because you don't have to. It's been too long since I played Aurora. You don't have to pitch at the end of my turn to keep Channel Lightning Valley.
Yeah.
So you're just saying you now have a discharge that you can do something with, as opposed to this Blast to Oblivion, which maybe you have a follow-up, but
yeah, I sure would have liked to send for 6.
You don't have an onboard action point, so unless you have Blink or just 3 more instants, this is the end of the turn.
Right.
And
then I've got, for this turn, regarding like filtering that Blink that I filtered at the start of my turn, I have so many diverging pathways of what ends up being right. I have written down, like, I could get 4 value if you block what I could send instead of this blast, because I filtered into this blast. I can get 7 value if I hit with what I send and I get a draw off of Channel Lightning Valley. Then I can use the Blink that I filtered to get an action point. Or if I if I filter that Blink and I like draw anything else, this blast is, or like this turn is so much worse. But since I drew the blast, I end up having like actual play that I can have. Is so many diverging pathways, but like the kind of basis of it is, if I had held onto the Blink, I could have played a Current Funnel from my hand, tried to hit. If I hit, play the Blink and do something else. If I don't, pitch the Blink to Bloodrot Pox and keep my Channel Lightning Valley around. Just filtering the Blink was just hasty on my end, but I end up with a fine turn off of this. We can watch.
I think so. Seeing Blast to Oblivion come down with no action point behind it, you just filtered a Blink. I can reasonably put you on not having another Blink, so you don't have an action point. It isn't to say that this is the only damage I'm taking this turn, because it could be like Sigil, Volzar, Shock, but that's just damage. So if I'm looking at
I would think...
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, I would think the opposite. If I just filtered a blink and I'm sending an attack with no go again, holding on to 3 other cards in hand, I on the other side would assume my opponent has some, like another blink or some other way to utilize those cards in hand.
My thinking is less like, can you utilize the cards? And so what I'm thinking about is I've got a Razor's Edge in Arsenal in hand and a Stealth attack. So I can send Infect for 9 and then leave no witnesses. So I don't have a problem converting those 4 cards. The odd man out is Surgical Extraction, which blocks 3, is AB 3, or is just a Clave for 1. So I get the most value out of it defensively. And my question is, am I supposed to block this Blast to Oblivion and get my full 3 block? Or am I supposed to put you on having some sort of disruption? Like, what I'm wondering is, do I block with the Surgical, or am I holding it for you to have another blink or some way to get another action point into Mind Warp? Because if you have Mind Warp and I block with the Surgical, then the AB3 didn't do anything for me. But if I put you on having a Mind Warp and then you don't and it's just damage, yeah, maybe I can Surgical the damage. But if I can't, or if I can only Surgical 2 because you did like Play to Sigil, Volzar, Shock, and now the Shock is, I guess it's still 3, but for whatever reason, if it isn't, then I got less out of the Surgical. And now it's like, okay, cool, I Clave for 1, and I did a 1-card 1, which was not good, as opposed to blocking for 3.
Yeah, I don't know. You're kind of betting against the odds there by holding onto the Surgical, hoping to use it for AB.
Yeah.
Especially when I don't have go again on this.
I think, so if I'm making the decision now, I think I'm blocking with the Surgical and keeping my 4-card 13 that is actually 4-card 15 and saying, yeah, I'll just not have an Arsenal. And if you have something, then like, cool, you got me. Oops.
Yeah, I would definitely say that would be better.
Should I block with
better than being stuck with it in hand.
I hate this play. This is terrible. I'm like, yeah, this is like the worst case where I'm hedging against you having, hedging on you having some kind of follow-up that I have to AB, but then also now like, instead of my 1-card 3, I have a 1-card 1. Like, that was just a bad play. I really psyched myself out there into, like, there has to be some follow-up, and I have to be ready for it.
I don't know. Are you afraid of having spoilers for later turns in the game?
No.
Okay, I think that Surgical holding onto it and keeping it, like, putting it in your arsenal at the end of this turn loses, like, might be part of how this game goes, like later on, because like right where the beginning half of the game I have like nothing going on, towards the later half of the game I start to draw into things that I actually want to see, and right at that pivot point, your only play ends up being that Surgical Extraction, which gets shut down by a Sink Below and leaves me free to just start wailing in.
Yeah. Like, so with my current build, I'm not playing Surgical Extraction, I'm playing a different blue, which would be Art of Desire Mind.
That makes sense to me.
Which, like, even Art of Desire Mind here in the arsenal is still not ideal, but it's better. It's something I can play. Like, I'm just now getting stuck with the Surgical where I can't ever really convert it well, and it doesn't have stealth, so I can never buff it with any of my attack reactions. I just end up having to keep these weird hands. Like, I could play Surgical here by just doing, like, dagger, Surgical. I'm like, okay, but then I take an intellect penalty because I have the Take Up the Mantle and the Command and Conquer. And you're going for the Mind Warp here, which I believe is going to be for, it's still 5.
Yeah, it's just damage.
So I can AB3 it, which I'm going to do, and I'll probably pitch between Double Trouble and Prognosis. I don't think it matters because if I'm pitching one here, I'm pitching the other one on my next turn. But then what am I doing? Like, I'm burning a resource somewhere because I'm either doing Clave Surgical and burning a resource, or I'm doing Clave CNC, which is more important to me with your level of setup. You've got the Sigil Brilliance.
Where are you burning? If you're ABing, you're not burning a resource.
Well, if I'm AB3ing here, giving you a blue to not get Mind Warped, then on my next turn, I'm pitching a blue to Clave, and then I'm pitching Take Up the Mantle to CNC. So I have a resource that I can't spend.
Why wouldn't you just send Prognosis into CNC?
I don't want to send the Prognosis because you have all of your armor.
Okay, I guess.
And like, if you don't, I send Prognosis for 1, you block it with Greaves, and I had Take Up the Mantle. The worst case for me is now you have a reaction, and like, dang, you stuffed my Prognosis, but even if you don't, and you take the Prognosis effect and I get a card, I can't do anything with the Command and Conquer. So I'm taking an Intellect penalty because I can't pitch the CMC to play Pro.
I don't think you're ever reacting on the Prognosis, but just to grab my armor.
I just don't value your armor that much.
Okay, that's
like fair. I'd rather have you give me your armor for Command and Conquer.
Yeah, that's fair. Why use a whole card just to guaranteed grab armor?
Yeah. So I'm AB3ing here, but yeah, to your point, like that surgical in my arsenal is just going to rot there forever until it's eventually not useful. So if I don't have the surgical, you're at 21 because I would have I guess I would not have Razor's Edged. It would be in my arsenal instead. You'd still be at 24, you'd have the Blood Rot. There's no reason for me to double react the Infect when I can just arsenal it. But now I'm in a much better spot where I get to AB3, the Mind Warp, pitching Double Trouble. I send Prognosis for 1 go again. Now you're in a weird spot because if you give me the armor, I Razor's Edge over, and like that's a real problem. Or if you don't block, I don't need to Razor's Edge. Either way, my follow-up is just CNC. I've cleanly converted 3 cards. I either have the Razor's Edge in Arsenal or I don't because I spent it. But, like, whatever. If it's a Razor's Edge or nothing, that's way better than the surgical that is now just in my arsenal.
I mean, 1,000 times over, getting that surgical out of your hand for 3 value was way better than holding on to it.
Yeah, like, it's one of these weird things where I'm like, why was the Razor's Edge the pitch? Or the block. Like, why did I block at all if I was gonna... It doesn't make sense.
Here, I decide to IP. I'm holding on to a Current Funnel, a Mind Warp, and a Blink, and I decide to IP myself instead of playing the Blink and then just sending Mind Warp for 2 more, and then I can pitch the Current Funnel to Blood Rot. Devalue your CNC because I don't keep an arsenal. Keep my CLV around, but just decide to IP myself and leave myself with a CNC target, which, I mean, not every arsenal is just a CNC target, but... Yeah. I don't know why I just decided to IP myself. I'm holding on to a Blink. I can play another card. That silly plays from me.
So what's interesting now is just having talked about how bad the Prognosis for 1 go again is, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I wonder if I'm hoping that you're going to overreact. Maybe if this is a Bonds, I can reasonably put you on overblocking it and then I get you with the CNC. But I don't think you're going to overreact on a Prognosis. Like No,
I'm giving you 1 armor every time.
Yeah, you're fine. And a lot of the time, even if I do get you with a Prognosis, for 1, you have the Sigil of Brilliance, so you'll still have a 5-card hand. You also have Channel Lightning Valley, so you probably have a 6-card hand. So what I would have rather had this be a Clave, put you to... I assume you're not blocking the Clave. You go to 23, you're marked, you will block the CNC, and now you're starting the turn marked, and that's better for me. I can block with the Bonds, and then the Bonds is online. If I draw into another take-up, or I just draw into Mark of the Black Widow and I don't have to Flick Knives you. This is like such a weird play for me that I'm looking back on now, like, this is just objectively
why you valued the surgical so highly?
Why I valued the surgical so highly, why I'm valuing the Prognosis over a Clave.
Yeah. Oh, I think Prognosis, just getting disruption on the board, threatening it against Oscilio is good. There's no way for me to know you don't have a reaction in Arsenal. What I have is a snag in my hand that I just filtered out because you didn't react. So if you had held onto the Razor's Edge and done that play we talked about with the Prognosis and the Razors, it would have been defused with really no change. I can see what I draw into off of the filter, but like really no change. The snag kind of defuses that branching pathway a little bit.
I'm still kind of okay with that though, because I got a card for my card. If it wasn't snag, it could have been sink below. And in either case, I'm like, cool. I traded a card for a card. That's not ideal because you only gave me an armor for my Prognosis, but that's kind of the best case I can get from Prognosis, unless I have just a Nick, but you still have a snag. And then I Flick Knives, which I don't hate this play. It marks you, it frees up a dagger slot for when I draw Orb Weaver Spinneret. It's just like a very circuitous way that I got to, you are marked and had to block a Command and Conquer. But now I'm
definitely.
Down the
if I'm gonna be marked anyways.
can I draw into, like, the worst hand that I could possibly have? And now I'm scared, because Blast to Oblivion for 4 go again. I'm assuming you have an instant to bounce the Sigil of Brilliance, so you're going to draw more cards. What am I supposed to do with this hand? I am in a bad spot because of the Surgical. So if I don't have the Surgical in Arsenal, I can block here with Justinic, and my turn is going to be Kiss of Death, Leave No Witnesses, Flick, Arsenal, Leave No Witnesses. Or if you send another 3 or 4 physical after this, I could block with the second Leave No Witnesses and still get to do Kiss into Leave No and not worry about clunking up my Arsenal potentially. But because I have this Surgical, I'm in a spot where I'm kind of incentivized to keep 3 cards. And what I'd like to do is Kiss, double pitch Leave No Witnesses to play the Surgical, which is also bad. And it's a 3-card 4. You still have blocking armor and Aether Bindings. Like, I'm not in a good spot, but I also don't think I should just be taking 4 here. I think I should have given you the Justinic.
Yeah, I think my value brain tells me your hand every time does Kiss, Leave No Witnesses, Flick to Kiss, and like wait until you draw a blue. But yeah, definitely just blocking with 2 of those redundant cards.
I do block with the Justinic. I don't think there's ever a world where I'm supposed to block with Justinic and Leave No Witnesses. Yeah, here, if you're attacking with Blast again, that's where I give you the Leave No Witnesses. So I don't hate the block so far. It's just, like, I hate the block in as much as I have to block with this Leave No Witnesses or take the Intellect penalty. I would rather be able to Arsenal it.
I think I take back that second Blast anyway. Mm-hmm. If I had, my thinking in playing the second Blast was that I had bounced to Conductivity to give myself go again, which would be perfect, but I don't even have the hand that I have if I didn't bounce the Brilliance. Mm-hmm. But Mind Warp here is just kind of brutal.
Yeah, Mind Warp is going to get me no matter what. If I don't have the Arsenal, I mean, I'm still just taking 7 here and feeling bad about it. Like, I could pitch my entire hand into AB, but if I have 3 cards in hand, which I would, I'll just draw into 2 cards. Hopefully I could send something that you have to care about and then Arsenal the other thing. Which I don't do. I mean, in this case, I'm just pitching Double Trouble, sending a Clave, and arsenaling a Spike. Or, if I was on what I think now is the correct sideboard plan, and I had Redback Shroud in my chest slot, I could send 6 between Double Trouble, Shroud, Spike.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm ever doing that, but it would be a line that I have, whereas now I just don't have that line. With this hand, I should pitch Double Trouble, send Surgical, and Arsenal the Spike, and feel good that I get this Surgical out of my Arsenal.
Yeah, no, this is where Surgical, like, up until now it's been clunky, but this is where it really pivots the game for me, because I'm sitting on all of my best sigils, a Blast is in my Arsenal, and I'm able to defuse your Disruption with a single card, and I am just left to kind of just party.
So what's weird is, just based on where we've gotten to so far and how I would have arsenaled and how you would have reacted to me arsenaling the Razor's Edge, I think we're at this exact same point in the game. If I blocked with the Surgical instead of the Razor's Edge, it's just I feel better about it.
Yeah, I guess in that case, all you would have is Clave arsenaling. Yeah, in that case, all you would have is Clave and Arsenal the Spike, and without Redback Shroud, Spike gets so much worse too. Like, I don't know, I guess in a world, maybe holding on to that Surgical was better than the alternative. It might just be destiny, but like, yeah, it's not like the end of the world. The Surgical isn't what's killing you here.
Yeah.
Just from your side of things, I would have had a defuse for your Razor's Edge, and then you just, I don't know, I guess the only other thing is you would have been able to Arsenal Leave No Witnesses, but then I would just shut down the Leave No Witnesses with the same sink below.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's weird to see, like, it was objectively wrong that I arsenaled the Surgical instead of blocking with it, but somehow we still got to the same point. So now, I think it is wrong for me to just take this damage. I should be in defense mode, just given the texture of my hand. But this is highlighting, just because this hand doesn't really do anything. I can't turn on Bonds easily, and I think what I'm going for here is trying to turn on Bonds. The way I turn on Bonds is attack with Bonds, Razor's Edge from hand, pitch a card to play Spike from Arsenal and Flick Knives. And there are a few things I hate about that. One is I have to pay a whole card for Spike. I really either want another blue or I want to be on Shroud. And I'm using my last dagger to activate the bonds, which means that I just now have no daggers. I've seen a kiss already. I've seen one take up the mantle. I still have two, but you won't be marked if the bonds hits. So I have no way to mark you. I need to draw into one of my two kisses to get value out of Flick, or I need to draw into an Orb Weaver Spinneret, which like gives me a dagger. But going down to 0 daggers on Slippy, especially in an aggro race, is so bad.
Are you not at all interested in going Infect and then pitch the blue to Spike with Blood Rot? And if I block that somehow, you Razor's Edge on top of it, I take 2 Blood Rots and then you send CNC after? Is that not enticing?
My fear here is that you have so many cards. Like, I could see not blocking this because you have so many cards, but the fact that I don't have the Redback Shroud is really limiting my options to I can't block. Like, I either need to give you everything or I need to give you nothing, and I don't like being in that position. Because if I had Shroud, I could block with CNC and Infect. I'm really interested in getting this Bonds into my graveyard so that I have a Bonds in my graveyard. Like, Bonds, CNC, and Leave No Witnesses are all on that tier of my game. My win percent goes up so much when I have these available in the graveyard.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm looking at a 5-card Oscilio hand, like, I'm going to take a ton of damage.
Yeah, I guess, if you're not interested in converting the whole hand, or at least just not, like, you can block with Razor's Edge, but other than that, like, just because you have Spike in your arsenal and no Redback Shroud, like, the same reason I don't like to play 1 cost without Tunic, like, you have to take so much damage to even make use of your cards.
Yeah, like, this is just highlighting more than anything, like, yeah, Shroud is really good in this matchup and any aggro matchup.
Yep, yeah, for sure. It lets you convert, Spike is a 1-card 5 that reacts. If you get to make it that instead of a 2-card 5, then that's a big swing.
Yeah, it itself is a reaction for Bonds. But to your point, keeping either blocking with this hand or keeping the whole hand and then thinking about how to convert it is just better. Like, I can send Infect for 9 and to Leave No Witnesses for 6, so in theory it's a 5-card 19. It doesn't kill you, which is terrible against Oscilio, but that is what it is. If I don't take a ton of damage here, then maybe I'm okay. It forces you to do something about the CNC. I just hate having to pitch the Bonds. But that's definitely better. The 5-card 19 is better than Bond Spike is a 4-card 10, 4-card 12 with the Blood Rot that takes a card from you. Like, yeah, that's just not great.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Again, getting your Bonds into Arsenal or into Graveyard is good, but with how fast this matchup can go, it might just be a sort of thing where you just want to convert it for the blue value. I end up with a pretty good turn. Being able to bounce a conductivity to give another blast go again, just to send Flittering, play the conductivity again to give it go again, and then make everything we've just talked about irrelevant with a Mind Warp.
Yeah.
This is like what I was talking about. I just get to pivot the game for almost no damage on my end, or no, like, protecting cards from my end with that. Either that Leave No Witnesses or that Surgical gets stuffed out. I just get to convert and go on the offensive so easily.
Like, for me here, I just don't really have a choice. Like, I need to give you the Bonds and Spell Void 2 to keep 4 cards, but the 4 cards aren't good. I'm keeping Spike and Arsenal, Razor's Edge, Infect, CNC, so my best line is just to send a 3-card 13, 4-card 13 with Infect, Razor's Edge it over, Spike it. I'm not playing the Razor's Edge if I take that line. I'm just playing Infect, pitching CNC, spiking, and then arsenaling the Razor's Edge.
It just feels so bad.
It feels bad, and I'm down to AB1.
Yeah.
Maybe that is what I'm supposed to do. Like, going to 7 here, going to 4 cards, 3 of which I don't know, and a spike that I'm going to have trouble paying for is just bad.
Yep.
I could see that being correct. AB3, Spell Void 2, and then just keep...
You at least can do something. It's really that spike that's just anchoring down your arsenal. like you said at the beginning, like you want your arsenal to be easy to kind of convert so that for future codexes it's not stuffed up.
Yeah.
Spike with no shroud is about as bad as it gets, I feel. Surgical's close.
Like, I don't hate that the spike is there, just because it's sort of like when you ponder into something like a Justinic off of a codex, you still arsenal the Justinic. You're not happy about it, but it's better than taking the intellect penalty. So if I'm getting mind warped and drawing into double trouble spike, like, if it
the
isn't
tragedy
surgical,
here is not drawing into any stealth.
Yeah,
or else
like,
you could play
is...
stealth and then pitch to the spike and then arsenal the next card.
Yeah. The best I can do with this is a 3-card 6. I send Pain, and that's assuming that you, not even a 3-card 5 if you don't block Pain. It's a 3-card 4 if you do block it. Like, this is tragic for me. Which
it's not great.
I guess there's a world where I pitch Pain and Spike to clave you, and then T-Tox the clave up to 4. It's 1 less point of damage, but it leaves you marked. I don't know. You're going to block the Pain in the backside. You'll take 1 from the clave, stay marked either way, but this is not going well for me.
I'm at 23, man. Like, this isn't hurting me at all.
Yeah, you don't care.
Now, I don't know. My hand, I'm looking at nothing that really works that well. I guess my best play is just to Lightning Greaves on this turn. But I'm sitting on... I'm sighted in Burn Bear for this. So I'm sitting on a 3-cost spell with no blue in my hand, which just does not convert. So I had to use Flash of Brilliance to trade out a red to get that blue back in my hand, which then lets me convert, Gone into Burn Bear, which is fine. And I hold on to my Greaves and my Tunic so I can have a good next turn. So I'm like setting myself up, but nothing amazing on my end.
And for me, I find it's like an okay hand. Because of this spike clogging up my arsenal, like, I found the Bonds of Agony. I'd love to block with it, prevent some damage, do something like Pain in the backside, clave, codex, leave no witnesses, but this spike is here.
Codex on its own is just stuffed.
I can't spike the Pain or the clave, so I have to keep the Bonds, which means I have to keep the Conceal Blade so that I can clave, bond, spike, codex, something. Yeah, this is not going well for me at all. I could block here with Pain in the backside, take 2, but I'm guessing this isn't the last time I'm going to see this Gone in a Flash, so I'm going to have to keep blocking it, which means that I can't filter the spike out of my arsenal. This is, as it is, I think I'm just in damage prevention mode. I just didn't see the game, which is also, that's reasonable given the state of the game.
Yeah.
This is... Yeah, so I'm taking... You're sending Gone in a Flash, Tunic, Greaves, Sigil, pick up Gone in a Flash again. You just sending after that?
I was just gonna... I already had Go Again since I bounced the Sigil on your turn. It's just Gone, play Sigil to bounce it back, and then I can Burn Bear pitching the Conductivity, and either pitch Gone in a Flash or use Tunic to pay for Voltzar. If I even choose to do that, it's literally just 1 value, so I probably don't. So it's just Burn Bear for another 6. I'm sighting out Burn Bear in this. Currently, I think for this matchup, I sighted out 2 yellow Blast to Oblivions and brought in the 2 Burn Bears, and I'm not doing that anymore. And then I was also on Calming Breeze, where now, and I think at one point in this game, I filter a Calming Breeze on my turn that I had drawn into. I'm on Shelter now in that spot. After our Cinder games, you targeting yourself with Flick Knives, Calming Breeze just does nothing for me once my opponent knows they can do that.
I think this game was just... I'm glad I watched it back, because I remember thinking, like, I really wanted to watch this game because I had this massive lead, and I feel like I threw it away. And I don't
think you did.
Yeah, looking back on it, I don't think I threw it away. I think it was just... The game didn't go the way that I needed to, which was I needed to disrupt you more early. Because your first few turns were kind of unimpactful, but that's just how Oscilio is sometimes.
Yeah, my first few turns, I just had no action, and I'm pretty sure I played all 3 of my Sigils of Brilliance, and the first 2 each drew me into a new Sigils of Brilliance, so I was continually keeping strong cards on the board. I had Mind Warp that put you on a pretty weak hand, and then after that weak hand, which didn't take much for me to stop from being disrupted, that Sink Below blocking the Surgical, or the Leave No Witnesses if you had played it better, I had another combo into another Mind Warp that put you so far on the back foot without any reliable way to recover, and that's when I draw into Gone in a Flash and like action in my hand. Like, I don't think. Again, I'm at 19. Even if things had played out differently, if you had blocked with surgical instead of razors, that wouldn't have ended up being any different, as we found. If you had that leave no witnesses to swing at me instead of that surgical, wouldn't have changed anything. If you hadn't had your arsenal clogged with spike, it would have smoothed out your next hand maybe a little bit, depending on what you draw from the Mind Warp. But like, I'm at 19 still at the end of the game. Like, that's not a small enough margin for little changes to fix. I think I just started to draw into things that actually did things off the back of Mind Warps that kept you from disrupting those things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, you got to play big hands. I either didn't get effective big hands or you kept me off of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, the Mind Warps were so punishing this game.
Which is, again, support for Redback Shroud in aggro mirrors, where you draw your first bonds. If you have Spike, that's 2 reactions from 1 card. That just gets you to where you need to go faster, but even then, it just smooths out the draws. It would have left me able to play the Spike with Bloodrot, which, again, I'm very far behind in this game. You're up on me, but if I'm thinking, I'm not going to be able to keep big hands, we're getting too far in this game, I can send the Double Trouble, use the Shroud, play the Spike, keep my arsenal empty, and then maybe I'm looking at this hand like, okay, I just need to keep this Codex of Frailty. I can block with everything else.
Yeah, and if your arsenal were clear.
Yeah, at minimum, I get to send Leave No Witnesses with a Ponder. And maybe that's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, Shroud's good. I think, as far as equipment, if you have, Balance of Justice in the list for Gravy, which I think most people do, I think that's worth taking over the headpiece. Even any point of AB makes me do more in order to get my surge effects off, and that like either leads to me just not making the attempt in the first place, where if I had ended up not making the attempt on either of those Mind Warps, which I had a big enough combo going into them that I was able to get them off regardless of your AB, but any little thing that makes me do more work is better. Is better against Oscilio. So even if you're going down from 3 to 2 or 2 to 1 AB, it's still like a difference. So I don't know, like we played a couple games like towards the end of Slippy versus Oscilio where you just played AB 0 and steamrolled me. That has been, I also played a couple games against another friend on Slippy, and that was the same experience. AB 0, access to Balance of Justice, 2 more HP and a card, Shroud, free reactions, and Boots, another reaction for bonds that can let you go extra wide on a turn where you might have a handful of stealth cards. Like, it's better to just steamroll Oscilio. Any space that you give Oscilio is more chances for you to lose, I feel.
I can see that. Yeah, I've been using FaB blazing data to just track, like, according to Talishar or every paper tournament in the last 30 days, what has the highest chance of winning, like what increases win rate the most. And I think for Slippy versus Oscilio, like the ideal setup if I'm trying to keep AB2 just going off of pure win rate is Balance of Justice, Flick Knives, and then AB in the chest and legs. But going even higher than that, like swap the chest with Redback Shroud and then play AB1. And
AB1 is fine.
I think I should experiment more with that, because Black Tech Whispers most of the time is just a point of block and a reaction for bonds. Very rarely am I ever counting on having to go again. So maybe that is the line. It's just AB3 or AB1 with the boots and then Balance, Shroud, Flick.
Yeah, that's what I kind of meant by, like, even if you go down to AB1, it feels like a huge step back from being able to stop me from doing strong things. But any AB at all marginally like forces me to do more or play differently. So like even AB1 is better than AB0. Like anything that you can find space for, but I think Shroud is good enough to skip AB on, and I think Balance of Justice is good enough to skip AB on. It makes me play differently, and if I do have to just brute force draw cards to like play out my turn, or like as part of my strongest turns, having an extra 2 HP from the block and then 3 HP from drawing an extra card to block with is like better than just AB1.
Okay. All right. No, that's a good tip. I will update my sideboard guide for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, we played more games than this, as you know. You definitely, I think I went like 3 and 5 into your Slippy, so I mean, this is an outlier for sure, but...
Yeah, we went even with AB3, and then I steamrolled you in the 2 games that I played AB0.
Yeah, AB0 is just, it's a killer. Slippy, when he has so many options available to him, like, you're just able to push so much damage and disruption. Stepping back from that to stop me from doing things just doesn't tend to be worth, I don't think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this was good.
Anything else?
No, I think I enjoyed this, and this was very helpful to hear from your perspective, especially on, like, just the things that I can control outside of the variants, which is my equipment loadout. Do I want to go first or second?
Oh, yeah, as you mentioned, like, you definitely want to go second.
Yeah, like, you don't care about taking 5 to 8 extra damage on turn 0 because you're going to kill me by doing 30 in a single turn.
I mean, in the best case, but usually I'm choosing to go first to avoid taking that damage versus Slippy and Marionette, like versus Assassins, maybe Guardian sometimes, like, I want to avoid getting disrupted, so like, you know, I don't think taking away first, like I mentioned to someone else, like, if you're afraid of taking arcane damage, like, if they were talking about if you're going first or second could impact how much AB you're bringing. I don't even think that's the case, because at most with like if I play 2 sigils and then I send a Comet Storm, I'm doing 7 arcane. That's, I think, not that much compared to the extra value you get from your equipment, and then I'm not keeping an arsenal, so it's only going to be a reasonable 6 arcane.
I agree. I experienced that with Syndra versus Verdance, where for a while my buddy was telling me, you want to go first so that Verdance can't do the arcane thing against you, and I played a game where I went second and she did the arcane thing against me with Burn Baron to Waning Moon, and at the end of the game I was up 15 points, and it's like, that didn't matter.
Yeah,
what matters
exactly.
is that I get the first true source of damage, which is what I get if I'm going second, and I say, here's an infect, and now you really have to care, like, is it worth a card to not take 5 points? And if it is worth a card, then now you only have 4 cards for your next turn, and then if you block, then the next thing is leave no witnesses, you're on 3 cards, and that's more impactful than me pushing 5 damage over your non-blocks on turn 0.
Yeah. Disruption's always going to be the big swinger. I don't know if that's like for every opposing hero every time. You disregard the fact that they could do unpreventable damage on turn 0, but lately versus arcane matchups, if you're the aggressor, you can just kind of eat that damage. Your deck is strong enough.
Yeah, I think the one outlier that I need to experiment with is Kano, because Kano's not looking for damage on turn 0, Kano's looking for potions.
Yep.
So that might be one where Slippy wants to go first all the time, regardless of what my overall plan is. But yeah, I think Verdance, you want to go second. Oscilio, now I realize you want to go second because you want to disrupt, you want to take cards, which you can't effectively do on turn 0.
Yep.
As Slippy.
Yeah, I mean, Syndra still wants to go first, at least into Oscilio, because you can push so much damage over my non-blocks, whereas Slippy's damage is pretty capped.
I don't know, until you have Cap of Quick Thinking and you get to filter all your instants
into
3 boxes, that card is so, ugh.
I still need to get better with using that. I always use it just a little bit too late, especially in person. My opponent will flick a dagger, and I was like, okay, take the damage, and then immediately on the next chain link, I'm like, really want to use Cap of Quick Thinking here.
Yeah.
Yeah, silly. It's silly. More to work on my end, at least.
Always. Well, this was great. This was fun. I learned a lot. I hope you did too.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for joining me. Where can people find you outside of this video?
I have uploaded videos and done some streams. 99% playing Vincent on my YouTube channel, Nico FaB. I'm in the Purple Discord, not too often, but sometimes in the Oscilio channel and sometimes in the Vincent channel. Hopefully going to be streaming and doing videos again in the future. The nearer the future, the better. But for right now, just kind of focusing on competitive play and improving on the back end. But I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you. Always, we played a few times. I always appreciate getting games in with you, again, to talk about them afterwards.
Of course, we'll do it more often. I'm also trying to improve on the back end, so this is a great way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, improving on the back end and making content at the same time, just it seems like a huge undertaking. So if you can do both at once, that's the way to go.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you again for being here, and until the next time we play, good luck in Kansas City.
Thank you. You as well. I'll see you there. You're there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you there.
Cool.